Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence.
This is Autoline Daily for Friday, September 24th, 2010. And now the news. Anyone who owned stock in the old GM and Chrysler were wiped out. Most investors in Ford saw their holdings decimated. But now one Wall Street analyst says buying stock in U.S. automakers and suppliers is a really good investment. At a meeting for the Society of Automotive Analysts yesterday, Mike Ward of Ward Transportation Research and Soleil Securities predicted the U.S. automakers will hit record profitability over the next 5 years. Ward admits other analysts do not agree with him, but he says that's because they have never experienced an economic downturn in their careers before, so they're skittish about forecasting a recovery. Here's my translation. Those young whippersnappers are just a bunch of greenhorns. Hey, did you know that if you buy a used GM car with OnStar, that you can get free OnStar service for 3 months? On last night's Autoline After Hours, Chris Pruce, the president of OnStar, said that if you buy any GM used car with OnStar, you just have to push the blue button that activates it, and they'll walk you through the process of getting the service for free.
Well, if you buy an OnStar car used, you can get 3 months free when you buy the car on the trial and get reactivated.
If it's certified used, what do you buy?
No, any car.
Oh,
if
really?
anybody wants
Any
to get
used one?
any used car.
Chris Pruce says this could help residuals for used GM vehicles, and that they'll soon announce a program with the big box retailers to start letting the public know about this. According to Reuters, Ford has some more good news to report. In a recent survey released by C&W Research, 29% of car shoppers looking to buy a new vehicle in the American market in the next 6 months have a Ford amongst their top 3 choices. That's up 6 points from last year and 10 compared to 2008. It's the company's best showing in the last decade, and it pushed Ford past Toyota. And in yet another indication of how Toyota's recalls and quality problems have hurt the brand, Gasgoo reports that Nissan is now the #1 Japanese brand in the Chinese market. Up to now, Toyota was the best-selling Japanese brand in China, and Nissan is now out to capture 10% of the Chinese market. The Detroit News reports that GM revised its range estimates for the Chevy Volt. The company had promised a battery-only capacity of 40 miles, but now they say it will vary anywhere from 25 to 50 miles. Quite a difference. You know, I don't care what GM says now, they are backing off from the range they quoted 2 years ago. When the Volt was first announced, they promised a 40-mile range no matter how you drove it on the highway or city, and they promised that this rating was very conservative. Now they're adding all kinds of caveats for low temperatures, aggressive drivers, and hilly terrain. I don't blame them for doing it, but they are backing off the range they quoted before. Who says you need an iPad or a smartphone to enjoy digital media? Nonsense! Volkswagen is bringing the best of the web to the print world. We found this little gem on Wired.com. In a brilliant or maybe crazy advertisement, VW placed a small electronic media player in copies of the Times of India.
Been a lot of buzz on Twitter and Facebook, in office and everywhere else this morning regarding this one Volkswagen ad. And I just wanted to show what that is to you. Look at, you see this Times of India newspaper Delhi edition? Talks about normal things like Kanchipuram silk gets protection, etc. Now this is not just any other newspaper, because Volkswagen has actually come up with an ad which talks for itself.
This central German engineering is here, the new Volkswagen Vento, built with great care and highly innovative features.
You know, I bet more than a few people were scared to death when they opened the paper and it started talking to them. Imagine sitting down to breakfast in the morning with a hot cup of coffee in your hand. Can you say second-degree burns? Are fleet sales as bad as they're made out to be? Is retail the only kind of sale that should really count? More on that in a matter of seconds.
Introducing Bridgestone's third generation of run-flat tires with groundbreaking new Bridgestone technologies. Bridgestone run-flat tires offer improved ride comfort, lower rolling resistance, and improved wear while giving you the peace of mind and comfort you need.
On Autoline Detroit this week, one of my guests is Jeremy Anwyl, the CEO of Edmunds.com. We were talking about sales in the marketplace, and he offered up these points about fleet sales versus retail.
Addicted implies something that's bad. They do rely more on fleet sales than, say, I don't know, the imports. I mean, you get a little stuck with some of these categories sometimes. Chrysler's fleet sales in February exceeded 50%, so they get a little defensive about that. There's nothing wrong with the fleet sale. It's just a buyer. The issue is, did those fleet sales, were those vehicles sold at a number that was so far below the retail transaction price that you created two markets for the vehicle, and that when that fleet vehicle comes back into the marketplace, it destabilizes the used car values? So you could have fleet sales that are good, and you could have fleet sales that are bad, and obviously you can't tell that just from looking at the raw numbers.
Do you think that's changed in the sense that Detroit used to just build cars and blow them out the door because that was their economic model, and those days are gone with the restructuring it's gone through now? And I got to imagine fleet's far more profitable than it was in the past.
I think this is the discipline they talk about. So discipline exists in terms of managing inventory, so you don't get a 4-month supply of cars on the ground, and that means you don't have to rely on incentives as heavily. Discipline could mean that you're going to pass on fleet sales if the price isn't right. So discipline is a good thing. It's not necessarily easy to maintain in a tough market, but there are some positive things that we've seen so far, at least this year. Just look at the earnings reports from Ford and GM.
By the way, in addition to Jeremy Anwyl from Edmunds.com, I've also got an interview with Tony Joseph, the director for McLaren Cars in North America. If you want to learn more about how McLaren wants to break into the sports car segment, there's a lot of great information in that program. And as always, you can watch this entire episode of Autoline Detroit on our website this afternoon, so check it out. One more thing before we go. I will not be here next week because I'll be in Europe covering the Paris Motor Show. Don't worry, we'll be bringing in others to do Autoline Daily, and I will be bringing you the latest car news from the City of Light. Stay tuned, it should be a lot of fun. Anyway, that's it for Autoline Daily this week. Thank you for watching. Tune in Monday to get your daily dose.